Nintendo used expansion into Western media. It had no effect. If you're old enough to have played with one of these, then you might remember reading these. Newspapers, kids. Act like I'm 40 and not 24. Believe it or not though, newspapers are where most people used to get their news. I know, crazy concept. And back at the turn of the millennium, around the year 2000, it was estimated that over 20 million people were reading one every single day. And so you might be asking, well, how does this tie to Pokemon? At the time, Nintendo was still looking to increase their market of Pokemon in Western media. I know, crazy, right? And so with an audience that covered over half of the US population, they decided to try a new approach. A funny approach. Because other than trending news topics, one thing that every newspaper had were the funnies section. Now, whether or not they were actually funny is very debatable. This was also the birthplace of some of the most famous cartoon characters of all time. You know, you got Garfield, Charlie Brown and the Peanuts, and those weird boomer memes your uncle shares on Facebook. But Nintendo decided that the best way to reach an adult audience in the US was to create their own funnies comic strip titled Pikachu Meets the Presents. Let's just say the results were as questionable as these funnies were funny. These comics focused on the main trio at the time, you know, Ash, Brock, Misty, and for some reason a lot of Ash's mom, and the misadventures they'd be getting into. You know, like some weeks he'd be battling Gary, and then other weeks he'd be preaching to some kids on a random couch about how Pokemon could be educational. Wait, I gotta question that, because in a lot of these comics, you know, instead of going on a Pokemon journey, you know, what the anime at the time was very well known for, Ash is often seen at his house and at school, and it's not like a trainer school, not like a place to learn how to get better at Pokemon, just regular old school. He'd be learning about geography, politics, and Pokemon literally weren't even allowed to be out during like classes or anything, or if they were, they'd get in trouble or you'd get sent to the principal's office again. The consistency of this is about as good as Pokemon's timeline. And speaking of time, I could not imagine reading this every day or every week, because some of these storylines would last multiple weeks and the punchline 9 times out of 10 just ended up being, oh, I got electrocuted by a Pokemon, or oh, I got attacked by a Pokemon. Like this one. Ash is trying to catch a Starmie because he's never caught one before, and for all 3 parts of the story, it literally ends with just Ash, getting hit by his Pokemon. And I'm fine with a little slapstick here and there, but it doesn't even really work because the art style is so weird. Like the characters in Pokemon were all based around their TV counterparts at the time, but they look like they got like thrown into a blender and mixed in with those weird boomer memes from earlier. Which is weird because these comics were created by Gerard Jones, who at the time was working for Marvel and DC, and you know, he was a real stand-up guy, and he... Hello? Yeah. He did what? No. I can't say that here on YouTube, but I'll let Kendrick handle it.
And Baka got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles. Wah.
I'm not really sure why Nintendo thought these comics would be a good way to get adults into Pokemon. They try to add topics that the younger generation definitely wouldn't understand, and even try to frame Pokemon as a nice educational resource. Needless to say, these comics really did not take off. They only ran for about 6 months, from September 2000 to March 2001, and most likely cost Nintendo a very pretty penny in the long run. And I hope they're doing okay, and that this little Pokemon franchise was able to, you know, at least have a little more success afterwards. Obviously, Pokemon's doing fine, but I think we all learned a very valuable lesson here, and that is reading sucks. Just kidding, because after this, Pokemon decided to just flood the market of all Scholastic book fairs and Walmarts with Pokemon trainer guides, how-tos, and a whole bunch of other stuff that maybe I can do a video over. I want to give a big shout out to Digino Gaming for archiving these comic strips and making them publicly available for everyone to read. I will be posting them down in the description below, as well as Digino Gaming's channel. Big thanks to everyone for watching, and while you're there, why not subscribe? And thanks again. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.